Been there, done it. She's definitely got the t-shirt. Lesley-Ann Jones out with her memoir, focusing on the heady days of showbiz reporting in the 80s and 90s. Her book, Tumbling, tipping a hat to the Stones.
It's just one of those songs that's a metaphor for life, for all our lives, I think, because everything is a gamble. And the roll of the dice, takes us where we don't know we're going to go. And that really suggested to me that I was in the right place at the right time, not by any design of my own, but just because that's where life took me at the time. And I had to roll with it.
Her style, humorous, self-deprecating, honest, feisty, and revealing. Why the book now?
2 reasons. Because many people had said over the years, tell me again the one about so-and-so. Oh, you should really write a book about your own life. And also because I've got 3 children who are sort of adults now, but they don't know anything about that side of my life. And I didn't want for me to get to the end of my life and for them never to know what their mother used to do. Did she really live that mad life and hang out with all those crazy people and go all over the world and do all that stuff? She does the laundry, she does the sports kit, she drives us places. Surely she didn't do all that stuff. But I did. I had a few years of doing quite serious biographies on rock stars. And Freddie Mercury, obviously the film Bohemian Rhapsody came out. My book was reissued. It went crazy. It was a Sunday Times bestseller, and it's done very, very well. And the time just seemed right. I've just started a new book, actually, which is John Lennon for next year for the 2 big anniversaries, which will be 40 years, can we believe, since he was murdered. And also he would have been 80. Imagine John Lennon at 80. It doesn't add up, does it? But in that space, I just thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it, because I'm always going to be on to the next book, and this is the time. It just felt right.
Lesley-Ann Jones was in that lead pack of Fleet Street celebrity reporters pounding the pavement in the days before the internet or cell phones really took off. Back then, it was all about shoe leather, contacts, and always having a passport in your pocket.
It was a village. It was like Madison Avenue in New York for advertising. The center of the newspaper industry, Fleet Street, center of the world, it felt like. And a thing had happened. So in the 60s and mid-70s, Hollywood was the big thing. Movie stars dominated the newspapers. And suddenly there was a switch, and it became all about pop stars, largely because of the Beatles. And then it became about rock stars. It kind of grew up. And at that stage, every newspaper brought in their own rock and pop correspondent, which is when I came in.
And a healthy dose of crazy thinking outside of the box never hurt as well.
I dressed up as zookeepers, went with a monkey to the Dorchester and got all the way up to the penthouse suite and almost got into Michael Jackson's room and got stopped at the last minute because he was in there with Bubbles, the chimp. And I dressed up as a nurse and managed to break into hospitals. I lay in wait for Madonna around the back of another hotel when she was out on a run. And, we got stuff because we were inventive. And it wasn't until the mid-90s when the paparazzi really kicked in, and it became quite vicious by then. And people were falling over themselves to catch people out. And then it became nasty, and I think the flavor of Fleet Street really changed.
Given the different rules back then, a few reporters like Lesley-Ann were able to get up close to the celebs, the big ones, like Sinatra, Bowie, and Freddie Mercury.
We had access. There weren't all these professions around like personal managers, publicists, agents, hangers-on. Those things were in embryonic stages. So if we were sent to interview Freddie Mercury, we'd get in a room with Freddie Mercury by ourselves for a couple of hours. And then if he liked you, and he might say, "What are you doing for dinner tonight? Would you like to come out?" And that would lead to, "Oh, we're in Düsseldorf next week doing some shows. Would you like to come?" So the limo would come for you. You'd sit next to him on the plane, you'd stay in the same hotel, you'd go out with them after the show, and you'd review the show, but you wouldn't write anything else. What happened on the road stayed on the road. And nowadays, I think that has changed. Nobody gets one-on-one interviews anymore. You get a junket. So you get 12 of you around a table. You get to ask one question, and everybody gets your answer. And there isn't really any direct access anymore. That's all gone.
A time the likes of which we'll never see again. Tumbling Dice by Lesley-Ann Jones, available on Amazon.com. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.